Greetings, adventurers. Frostback, and today I would like to discuss BWL BIS lists. So, to get right into it, I want to compare my new BIS list that I've created, it's a few different ones, to the Mage Discord BIS list. This is what most people generally use as their BIS list, so we're just going to use it as a baseline. So I've created all the sets on 60 upgrades here, and I've done full enchants for all of them. We have 4 different sets. We have a single target frost damage set, a single target flat spell power set for when you are fighting the elemental vulnerable mobs, so Chromagus and the Dragonkin trash pack. And then we also have an Aoe set. This is more for MC, but you do use it during like suppression room and lab packs. So this is a good option, or a good set to have. And then this is the final set. This is a set for Veil and Firemaw. Those fights have knockback that uses fire damage, so this set gets a little bit more fire resist, just to help you try and resist those knockbacks, which will improve your DPS, and it's a very minimal DPS loss. And we'll also talk about how this set kind of comes into play in terms of actually gearing your character, because some of these sets, they are BIS, but they're kind of unrealistic to get all of these different pieces, because you're getting multiple different pieces for just a few, for like one set, right? So it will be not a completely realistic set, but this is the true BIS list. So to get into it, the first set we'll look at is the single target frost damage set. So the main difference between the Discord's list and my list are that my lists use the blue set 2 sets, and it changes depending on which scenario you are fighting in. So for single target frost damage set, which is going to be your most commonly used set, you're going to be running Mashunders, of course, and with 8 spell damage on it. Choker the Firelord, Mantle of the Blackwing Cabal, Cloak of the Broodlord, Robe of the Archmage is still BIS, Bracers of Arcane Accuracy, and then another difference that I have is the rank 14 weapon. The rank 14 weapon is better than Staff of Shadowflame. However, if you do pull out the rank 14 weapon and put in Staff of Shadowflame, this set still outperforms the Discord set. And the way I compare the sets is by using a spell damage calculator. This is from private servers, but overall it's been accurate, and I've like compared it when I was running MC, and I've been using it for all of Classic to run my sims, and overall it works good for single target frost bolting, and also for flat spell power sets it works for seeing how much damage your frostbolt's going to do. Then there is also fireball ones in here. So I will leave a link to this in the description. I will leave links to all the different sets in the description, but let's continue with the set. So then AV offhand, and that's the main reason that the rank 14 weapon is better than Staff of Shadowflame. It's just so much spell power here. And then also, you're going to notice that my sets have a lot less crit than the Mage set, Discord sets. And that's because world buffs, when you have world buffs, you get 18% spell crit, which devalues your crit and makes spell power more valuable. However, even inside the sims, even without world buffs, it still outperforms the Discord set. So then Cold Snap from Azure Ghost, and then the blue set Hands, rank 7, and then Firemaw's Clutch. This is another small change. There is normally you run MIC, and MIC is a very good belt. It's very, very close. It's about 5 DPS difference, so it's not a huge change, but when you consider all the small DPS increases from all these different changes, it does add up, right? And then the rank 7 legs with spell damage on them, of course, and then Ringo's Boots from Trash and BWL, Band of Force Concentration, Ring of Spell Power from MC, Nelth's Tear, and then Mind Quickening Gem, and you will also be using Toep. You'll be changing them out in between, and for some trash packs, if you don't have either of them up, you may be throwing on a Briarwood Reed. So you don't want to get rid of that trinket, you want to keep that trinket. So let's go ahead and compare this set to the Discord set. So this right column is my set, this left column is the Discord set. I did have to, for some reason, it didn't want to take 10.69, it didn't like that number, so I had to decrease it by 0.1 to 10.59, so it's a small amount lower than it should be, but it still shows that with Arcane Power and full world buffs, you're doing about 25 DPS more, which isn't a huge amount, but it's still a little bit over 3% DPS increase, so it's something. And then you can see no matter what the scenario, no matter what debuffs are on the boss, no matter what spec you are, if you're Deep Frost, you're still doing more damage. Now, if you're Deep Frost, you're only doing 13 more DPS, so it's not as big of a DPS increase, but it is still a DPS increase no matter what. So now, let's move on to the flat spell power set. So this is mainly what you're going to be using on Chromag. That's like the main boss that you're using this on. So the changes here are going to be just the frost spell power stuff mainly, but that's also going to have to change the blue set for us, right? Because before we were using Ringos, and then we need a new boots to use, and the blue set boots are actually very, very nice because they also have hit on them. So you put the blue set boots in there, and you don't need 3 blue pieces. So instead, you replace the blue set legs with flame core legs. These have 43 spell damage. You can craft them with tailoring, so they're very easy to get, and they do not take away from the rest of your raid. Every one of your mages can craft these. They're kind of expensive, but I think they're worth it. I'll probably be crafting them, especially because they have fire resistance on them, so that's big for certain fights in BWL. And then another one is Bone Creeper Stylus, and then you're using the other AV offhand for flat spell power instead. And then other than that, the set is exactly the same as the frost damage set, other than those changes. And then same thing with MQG, you'll be changing that out for Toep or Briarwood Reed, depending on the situation, what's on cooldown, what's off cooldown. So then if you compare this to the Mage Discord flat spell power set, what they do is they have Snowblind shoes instead, and then they also have T2 pants. They don't use Flame Core, which is the same as they use inside their frost damage set. But other than that, it is the same. They also use Bone Creeper Stylus. That's just the best flat spell power wand. And then they're using T2 gloves instead of the gloves like I am using, the blue set. So when you compare the flat spell power set to the Mage Discord flat spell power set, this is how it looks. It is 785 to 820 or 819. So it is a DPS increase of about 35 in a math. 15 if you're no world buffs with Deep Frost, still a DPS increase, or 16. Then onto the AoE set. There's no way to sim this set, so it's hard to compare. There's a few changes that you can possibly make to this to maybe do more damage. The main change would be maybe swapping out the Warsong Gulch Bracers to instead go for Blacklight Bracers to get 1% crit. So the way that I weigh AoE is I put 1% crit to value at about 21.5 spell power to make it easy, and then I throw in these wrists. I think it's somewhere around there. I don't know, it's hard to say exactly, but I do definitely think like Ring of Spell Power is better than a crit ring, for example. Like 33 spell power is a lot. And then the other thing, you notice this set has 0% hit. You do not need hit for AoE. Hit is useless. The AoE spells they never resist, right? So you're building the set off that. You go Mashunders, you go Choker, and then you're going to use the blue set Shoulders because those have a crit on them. And you're going to pair that with the blue set Legs because those also have a crit on them. Cloak of the Broodlord, and then you're actually going to use Robes of Volatile Power from MC because those have 2% crit. And then the Warsong Gulch Bracers or Blacklight Bracers, they're about the same. Staff of Shadowflame. However, I would never take a Staff of Shadowflame if I have a rank 14 weapon, obviously, just for an AoE set. It's not worth it or even close, but it is the AoE BIS, so I'm going to put it on this set. And if you were using rank 14 offhand, of course, you're going to be using flat spell power, so you'd be using the AV offhand. So you'd be using the rank 14 weapon, AV offhand. And then Bone Creeper Stylus, T2 gloves because they have a crit on them. Mana Igniting Cord, it has a crit, better than Fire Moth's Clutch in this situation. As I said, blue set Legs. And then you're still using T1 boots in AoE set because it has a crit on them. So this is why you don't want to get rid of gear. This is also going to be the same situation for fire, so just most of the time if the piece seems good at all, keep it, and it may be needed in the future. That's the general rule of thumb. Or go ask another mage that would potentially know, like on stream or something like that. You can come ask me, of course. And then double ring of spell power. Those are just, there's no ring that can compare to them just because they have so much spell power. And then you're going to be running Toep because MQG you're not casting when you're AoE, right? And then Eye of the Beast for 2% crit. And that's actually valued about even with Nell's tier because I value 1% crit at about 22 spell power, right? So you can make the argument there. However, if Toep's on cooldown, you're just going to be throwing Nell's tier inside that slot anyways, and then you'll be running both of them. Okay, and then there's one last set to go over, and that is the fire resistance set. So the only difference here is that it swaps out, it wants to have flame core legs, right? Because it has 16 fire resist. So compared to the normal frost damage set, you have the blue legs there. So now you have to get a different blue piece, and you go the shoulders because that's where you sacrifice the least amount of spell power. Okay. And this set's difference is actually extremely minimal to this set. And by extremely minimal, I mean literally half a DPS. Now you do have to remember this number should be 0.1% crit higher, so it's maybe like 1 DPS, maybe 1.5 or something like that, right? So it's a very minimal change, and what that change does is if you're using the flame core legs and these shoulders, that means you don't have to get Mantle of the Blackwing Cabal ever. Now, if you're not taking Mantle of the Blackwing Cabal because you can replace it with the blue set shoulders here and go flame core, then what you can do for your flat spell power set, instead of using Mantle of the Blackwing Cabal, you can either you want to use the blue set shoulders, and then you can replace your gloves with rank 13 or rank 12 gloves if you have them. And then the other option would be tier 2 gloves if you have those, because you're also using those for your AoE set. Now, if you plug that into the calculator, this is the rank 12 gloves, and this is the T2 gloves. So the rank 12 gloves, the rank 12 gloves do slightly outperform the T2 gloves, but this set does get slightly outperformed by the set with Cabal, Blackwing Cabal. So Cabal is still better, but this set's very close, and it's still better than the Mage Discord set that did 586 or whatever. It was like 20 below. 20 below this one with the T2 gloves. And then there is one last option that you could do, potentially. You can plug it in real quick, and we can show you how to also use the spell damage calculator by doing this. So the last thing that may be good is this. If you have rank 13, the shoulders. So to plug this in, we're going to grab the spell power. So it's 577 spell power. 9.1% crit. And see, sometimes it does this. I don't know why, it just started doing this today. Very weird. We're just gonna give it an extra 0.01% crit, and that fixed it. 5% chance to hit, and 274 intellect. And then you actually have 10 spell pen here too. And there you go, would you look at that? So this set actually slightly outperforms the set where you're using the rank 12 gloves. Instead, you can just replace the Blackwing Cabal with rank 13 shoulders, and that's only a small DPS downgrade from even having Blackwing Cabal. So yeah, that is my BWL BIS list. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below, or you can come ask me on my stream. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all in Azeroth.